The Portland Trailblazers 2023 season preview. So, how do you normally begin a season preview? I usually start with what's changed from the offseason. So, let's focus on three main sections today in the video. And for the other ones that I make on the channel, we'll follow this same structure. Number one, what changed this offseason? Number two, where they stand as of now. And number three, what is their future outlook for this season? What things could happen, at the midpoint or towards the end of the season, looking into next season or the playoffs. What kind of future outlook does this current state of the team have? All right, now that we know how this is happening, let's get right into it. The offseason changes for the Portland Trailblazers. Portland's offseason began by them being awarded with the third overall pick in the NBA draft via the draft lottery this year, moving up a few slots to get that pick. They proceeded to take Scoot Henderson, who was touted by many as the second best player in the draft, behind Victor Wembanyama. He's a speedy point guard, crazy bounce. He seemed like the perfect piece to kind of rebuild your roster around. But the only problem with that is that the franchise superstar, maybe even the best player in franchise history, Damian Lillard, was still on the team. This prompted Dame to request a trade and make it known that he only really wished to play for one team, and that was the Miami Heat. The Heat had just made an improbable run to the NBA Finals, as you all know, as the 8th seed in the Eastern Conference. It was looked at by many as the only place that Dame was going to end up playing. It was just a matter of time before the deal was made. But Portland GM Joe Cronin had other plans. Cronin was very steadfast in his reluctancy to negotiate with Miami due to the lack of interest in their potential trade package. I can make a whole video about this saga, but I'm sure you've already watched plenty of those. So I'll leave it at this. Portland ended up trading Damian Lillard to the Milwaukee Bucks for a trade package of Drew Holiday, a 2029 unprotected first from Milwaukee, and 2 first-round pick swaps in 2028 and 2030, both from Milwaukee. These picks won't have any impact on this year's team, but they're great assets to accumulate from a small market team that may not have Giannis Antetokounmpo on their roster come 2028, 9, or 30. So great things to stock up. A side transaction was made along with this trade where the Phoenix Suns traded former number 1 overall pick DeAndre Ayton to Portland for Yusuf Nurkic, Nas Little, Keon Ellis, and Grayson Allen went from the Bucks over to the Suns. So Portland turned this into an opportunity to potentially rehab DeAndre Ayton's value and not give up much, but also got the picks that they value and another asset that they could flip. And that's exactly what they did. Holiday was then quickly traded a few days later to the Boston Celtics, who ponied up and gave Portland big man Robert Williams, often injured but talented nonetheless, and guard Malcolm Brogdon, along with a 2024 first-round pick, top 4 protected from the Golden State Warriors that they got in the Marcus Smart trade from the Grizzlies, as well as a 2029 unprotected first from the Celtics as well. So 2 more picks coming over to Portland, along with Robert Williams and Malcolm Brogdon, to make kind of the full package of the Damian Lillard return. It seems Robert Williams is going to be part of the Trailblazers' future from what they said, but I would assume Brogdon is traded. They have said that they plan on him being there right now, but I think that's just to build some interest around the league. I would assume he's traded, but along with the Damian Lillard trade haul, the Trailblazers also drafted Chris Murray, who's Keegan Murray's brother, who also played at Iowa, and Ryan Rupert. Both of those young Flyers, along with Henderson, I'm sure they'll jockey for playing time on the wing this season. Portland also signed defensive specialist Matisse Thybulle away from the Philadelphia 76ers for a 3-year, $33 million deal, as well as re-signing wing Jeremy Grant on a 5-year, $160 million deal. All right, let's get into the current state of the team. As Portland stands now, they are clearly looking to rebuild this roster around young pieces like Henderson, Anthony Simons, and Shaedon Sharpe. All 3 very talented, but very small guards too. Ayton was a great flyer in my opinion because you can rehab his value and he can also be an actual valuable piece for this team if they choose to just keep him going forward. It was the number 1 pick, obviously, pick before Luka. There's some pedigree there. I don't think this was a risky pick, but they also got rid of a bad contract from Yusuf Nurkic and offloaded that to the Suns. So I think you have a piece that is more fired up to be there in Ayton than Nurkic would have been. It also gives you a big man that you feel somewhat confident in going out there to start the season. The interesting thing for Portland ahead of the start of the season, though, is how they structure a lineup that highlights their young talent. I mentioned that Henderson, Simons, and Sharp are all small guards. Like how they play those guys together. They're going to have some amazing highlights this season and produce some fun games, I'm sure. But overall, this is definitely a bottom 5 roster in the league. They're most likely going to make some in-season trades as well, so that's just going to fall even further down. FanDuel has them at an over-under win total of 28.5 games. They only won 33 games last season, and that was with Lillard really propping up their offense to be somewhat respectable in the league. I don't really see them getting to that 28 number. I don't think they're going to have any, I don't think you're going to sweat this one taking an under. I would project them somewhere in that 22 to 25 game range. They're definitely going to try to position themselves to get another top 5 pick to keep adding to this young core, but I don't really see there being much competition this season. Going to be one of the bottom feeders of the league, unfortunately. But looking ahead to the future outlook this season and beyond, I think Portland is set up to really build a nice stack of assets if they look to trade Brogdon and Grant during the season. Grant could definitely fetch some interest as a big wing that's locked up for 5 years. Even though he's at a high salary number, he's of a talent level that a lot of the top teams in the league can't go out and get in free agency. I think he's definitely gettable. Brogdon has been known to also desire a starting role, so I don't know that he's going to cooperate much. We haven't heard much about that situation, at least from his camp. Blazers said they're happy to have him there. Haven't heard much from Brogdon. I would assume he's going to want out of there, especially as an often injured player. I think it's even in the Blazers' best interest to trade him sooner than later so that you don't have some type of injury that causes you to take pennies on the dollar for him. You also don't want to start Brogdon ahead of any of the guys you have in the backcourt. So I would look for one of the contenders to make some type of offer for him now. Maybe they can get another first-round pick for him or a couple of young guys that they like that other teams don't really value. So I'd be looking for that here as we get to the start of the season, maybe in the first couple of weeks before Thanksgiving. But I definitely want to say here, Blazers fans, that they shouldn't fret. Even though this is going to be a rebuilding season, there's going to be a lot of fun moments. And one of the things that rebuilding teams hopefully have is a management team that they can trust. And I think Joe Cronin has really showed that this offseason with how he handled the Damian Lillard situation. And he's respected around the league because of that. Someone that you should feel confident in building the new future of this franchise. He also landed players like Dame and Holiday and even Nurkic in winning situations, which bodes well in free agency and in just negotiations altogether. But in closing, for the Portland Trailblazers fans out there, I definitely think you should sit back and enjoy this season. Enjoy the high-flying dunks, enjoy the fast breaks, enjoy the young talent that the team is accumulating, and trust the management in charge that they're going to make the right deals and make the right moves for this team. So there we go for the Portland Trailblazers. I'm going to be diving into every team in the league with a similar type of video, looking at their offseason, their current state, and their future outlook. So definitely subscribe, like the videos. It definitely helps out the channel. But check out the channel for more team breakdowns as the off season progresses. And I appreciate you checking this one out. Peace.